Hello, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to you all once again to this episode. And this episode is going to take a bit of a different dimension. I hope you are all in good shape of health and ready to digest something Arabic. Okay, so this lesson was actually supposed to be available on Friday, which is the 18th of December. That is just to commemorate the World Arabic Language Day. I intend to explain one poem, one very popular Arabic poem that is also taught to any basic Arabic student. You have to know about this poem. And it was on the 18th of December 1973 that the General Assembly of the United Nations decided to add Arabic as an official language. That is the sixth official language of the United Nations General Assembly. Okay, so the poem I chose to explain is a poem written by HAFIZ Ibrahim. HAFIZ Ibrahim is a very popular poet, popular Egyptian poet. He lost his father as a very little child, a very small child. He lost his father, and then his uncle took charge of him. When he grew, he joined the police. He joined the police for the rest of his life. He came to head offices and all that. But his experience in writing Arabic language, he was a maestro in Arabic poetry. And so he wrote this poem about Arabic language. Actually, Hafiz Ibrahim got to the extent that he became like the voice of the youth. When he speaks, it's like he's speaking for the youth of Egypt. In his life, he had visited Sudan, stayed in Sudan a bit, and also came back to Egypt. His life has been like that. He's been a great poet, and I took one of his poems so that we discuss it today. Okay. The poem is actually, after Hafiz Ibrahim died, his poems were gathered and made into a diwan. That is a collection of poems. So this poem is from that diwan. If you get diwan Hafiz Ibrahim, definitely you find this poem. This poem starts with رجعت لنفسي فاتهمت أحصاتي. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to explain the abiyat one by one. I'm going to explain the abiyat one by one. And where need be, I will take the vocabularies and then explain them. I want us to grasp this poem very well. The poem is in 23 verses, that is abiyat, but I chose 17 out of the 23 just to control time and also to take the too much technicalities out of it. But then after this, you can search on the whole poem, and then what I'm going to do again is I'm going to explain the poem first. When I finish, and then I will read the poem in its totality. The poem has a very good rhyme line. So after explaining everything, every bait one by one, and then I will go into reciting the poem with the spirit of it to the end of it. Okay. I'm going to be reading from a screen here. I'm going to be reading the poem from a screen here. So you're going to be seeing my face going that way. I hope that wouldn't worry. Okay. So let's get to the job. The poem starts with the first bait. رجعت لنفسي فاتهمت حصاتي وناديت قومي فاحتسبت حياتي. Hafiz Ibrahim is kind of speaking for Arabic language. So I don't know if you call that personification, kind of making Arabic language a human being. So he says, رجعت لنفسي. رجعت, I returned. لنفسي, to myself. رجعت لنفسي. Arabic language here, what happened is that it has gotten to a time when the colloquial language, that is the colloquial Egyptian language, was taking charge, was spreading even in papers where it's not supposed to be, you find it. So instead of Kaif Haluk, when you go to the streets of Egypt, you hear Zayyak. You hear in Sudan and all these, you hear Shno Haluk. All these, but it's actually Kaif Haluk. You get it? But then you start hearing some languages, instead of Ma, you hear Moya and also all those kind of words. So every Arab country has its own Arabic. So they started taking charge among the Arabs. So Hafiz Ibrahim being a lover of the pure Arabic language, that is the Fusha اللغة العربية الفصحى. He was worried, so he kind of spoke for Arabic language. So this is Arabic language saying, رجعت لنفسي, I returned to myself. When I saw all these anomalies going on here and there, I returned to myself. فاتهمت حصاتي, رجعت لنفسي فاتهمت حصاتي. I returned to myself and then I blamed my mind. I was thinking, was it some kind of, am I falling short in something in my brain? He made himself a human being. And then also, if a human being goes mad, kind of, am I losing it? So, رجعت لنفسي, I returned to myself. فاتهمت حصاتي, اتهم, to allege or to blame, put blame on somebody. اتهمت حصاتي, حصاتي is my mind. When I return to myself, then I put the blame on my mind. Is it my mind kind of, or what's happening? Then it says, وَنَادَيْتُ قَوْمِي, نَادَيْتُ, I called قَوْمِي, my people. Well, as I was doing this, وَنَادَيْتُ قَوْمِي, then I called my people. I called them to know what is happening. Will anybody respond to me? Me, the classical language. Will anybody respond to me? نَادَيْتُ قَوْمِي, I called on my people, if anybody will respond to me. Then when it did this, in the sense of the poetry, nobody responded. It didn't find anybody. That is with the classical language. It seemed like all the Arabs were flowing into the colloquial language and also giving so much regards to the English language. Kind of when the Arab hears somebody speaking English, particularly when the person is kind of making the accent American and all that, then the Arab feels some way. They give that hype to other languages instead of their original old language. So it says, وَنَادَيْتُ قَوْمِي, and I called on my people. فَاحْتَسَبْتُ حَيَاتِي, when I called them and I didn't find anyone with me. فَاحْتَسَبْتُ حَيَاتِي, I kind of went back and felt, I'm just okay, alhamdulillah. You know that thing that, okay, I'll just take it like that. Because I can't get more, I will take it like that. That is احتسبت حياتي. I just, okay, this is qadr of Allah. I accepted my fate. فَاحْتَسَبْتُ حَيَاتِي, then I accepted my fate. The second bite says, رموني بأقم في الشباب وليتني أقمت فلم أجزع لقول عداتي. رموني, they threw at me. رموني بأقم, أقم here is barrenness. So Arabic language now is a human being, and they are throwing barrenness at Arabic language. That is, they are alleging that Arabic language is barren. Ramoni bi ukmin fi shababi, and that too was I'm still young. A young woman, then they are saying it is barren. Because, why are they saying this? Because it cannot produce new words. The world is developing and new products are coming on. They are claiming that Arabic language can't find names for this. So they say, so Arabic language is complaining. Ramoni bi ukmin fi shababi. They threw barrenness at me. They claim I'm barren. And that too, fi shabab, whilst I'm still a youth, I'm still young. Walaytani akimtu. How I wish I was even barren. Falam ajza li qawli udati. So that I wouldn't even be bothered with what my enemies are saying. Falam ajza, so that I don't even get bored. Ajza, to get angry. Or to get reactive. So it says, Ramoni bi ukmin, they claim I'm barren. Fish shababi, whilst I'm still young. Walaytani, and how I wish akimtu, I was barren. Falam ajiza, so that I won't get bored, I won't get angry. Biqawli udati, with the statements or with the saying of my enemies. Udati, I adu, the plural of enemy. And it goes on to say, Walatu, they are saying that I'm barren. Arabic language is defending itself and it says, Walatu, I gave birth. وَلَمَّا لَمْ أَجِدْ لِأَرَائِسِي رِجَالًا وَأَكْفَاءً وَأَدْتُ بَنَاتِي. Walatu, I gave birth. وَلَمَّا لَمْ أَجِدْ لِأَرَائِسِي, when I didn't find for my brides, it named its children because it gave birth to girls. So they are the Arais, that is the plural of Aris, the bride, or Arus, the bride. Okay, So he says, وَلَدْتُ وَلَمَّا لَمْ أَجِدْ. Why is Arabic language even claiming it gave birth to women? Because women are the symbol of procreation. They are the center of procreation. The human procreation, that is the creation, the continuation of creation, stands on women. So it gave birth to girls. But وَلَمَّا لَمْ أَجِدْ لِأَرَائِسِ, when I didn't find for my brides رِجَالًا, men, وَأَكْفَاءً, capable men. When we say akfa, plural of kuf'un, that is a capable man. When I didn't find men, and that too akfa and capable men, when I didn't find these men for my children, wa'adtu banati, I buried my children alive. When you say wa'ada, to bury alive, وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ, and when the children, the girls that were buried alive are asked, بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ, with which sin were they killed? مَوْءُودَةُ, that is the one that is buried alive. So وَأَدْتُ بَنَاتِ, وَأَدَ means to bury alive. وَأَدْتُ, I buried alive, banati, my girls, my children who were girls. The Bait again, it says, وَلَدْتُ وَلَمَّا, I gave birth, وَلَمَّا لَمْ أَجِدْ لِأَرَائِسِ, and when I didn't find for my brides رِجَالًا وَأَكْفَاءً, men and capable one at that. وَأَدْتُ بَنَاتِ, I buried my... What is Arabic language even trying to tell us? Arabic language can produce words. Because of the morphology, the science of morphology in Arabic language, it allows for words to be created. You can keep creating words at any time. Arabic language is never barren. That's why it says gave birth to women, because they keep reproducing. But what happened? Those who are supposed to be the custodians of the language didn't take care of it. That is why it says that I didn't find capable men for my brides. Capable people to take care of the Arabic language were not there. Scholars were now... You will see a scholar teaching grammar, and the scholar will be using colloquial language. And it's pathetic in that sense. Why are you teaching Arabic grammar and you are speaking a language that doesn't even use it? The person will be using colloquial Arabic to teach you Arabic grammar. And you hardly find where to feel free and practice your classical Arabic language. So Arabic language says it didn't find proper scholars to handle it. So it killed its children. That's why we find shortages. But still, it's still productive, very productive. The next bait, that is bait number 4, it says, وَسِعْتُ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ لَفْظًا وَغَايَةً وَمَا ضِقْتُ عَنْ آيٍ بِهِ وَعِزَاتِ. Says وَسِعْتُ, I'm wide enough. وَسِعْتُ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ, I was wide enough to contain the book of Allah. وَسِعَ, to be wide enough to contain something. وَسِعْتُ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ لَفْظًا, in terms of its wordings, Arabic language was enough for God to communicate to man. God Almighty got all the words to communicate to man through the Arabic language. I love words. In words, Arabic language was enough. It sufficed for the words of all the words of the Quran. Lafzan wa gayatan, and also it was enough for God to speak to us his aim, his goal. The goal was transferred to us. So you read the Quran, you see the wordings, and also gaya here can be the meaning. You get the meaning. So Arabic language is telling us that I was enough for God to find all his words from me. And also I gave out the meaning as God wanted in full. وَسِعْتُ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ لَفْظًا وَغَايَةً وَمَا ضِقْتُ. Daqa, when we say daqa, to be narrow. And so Arabic language says وَمَا ضِقْتُ, and I wasn't narrow. And ayin. Ayin is the plural of ayah, that is a verse or signs. وَمَا ضِقْتُ an ayin, and I wasn't narrow to contain the verses. وَمَا ضِقْتُ an ayin bihi وَإِعْزَاتِ, and also the admonitions in it. That is the wa'az, the preachings in the Quran. I wasn't narrow to contain them. I was wide enough. I contained everything in them. That is the defense Arabic language is giving to its people. Okay. Then also the enemies. who are claiming it is barren. The next bait, it says, if I suffice for the Quran, its words and meanings, and the admonitions in it, I was able to contain all this. فَكَيْفَ أَضِيقُ الْيَوْمَ عَنْ وَصْفِ آلَةٍ. Arabic language is asking us, كَيْفَ أَضِيقُ الْيَوْمَ عَنْ وَصْفِ آلَةٍ وَتَنْسِيقِ أَسْمَاءٍ لِمُخْتَرَعَاتِ. That is what the bait is telling us. فَكَيْفَ أَضِيقُ الْيَوْمَ عَنْ وَصْفِ آلَةٍ وَتَنْسِيقِ أَسْمَاءٍ لِمُخْتَرَعَاتِ. How then do I fall short? فَكَيْفَ أَضِيقُ الْيَوْمَ عَنْ وَصْفِ آلَةٍ. How then do I fall short today in describing آلَةٍ, a tool? When we say a mouse is an ala, is a tool. A pen is an ala for writing, a tool. How then do I fall short in describing tools, that is in naming tools? وَتَنْسِيقِ أَسْمَاءٍ, and also forming names, tansiq, putting things together, organizing something, and also forming names, or tansiqi asma'in, forming names, limukhtara'at. Mukhtara'at is technological inventions. And how then do I fall short today in describing tools and technological, and also forming names for technological inventions, if I was able to suffice for God Almighty to communicate to man? Okay. The bait number 6, it says, أَنَا الْبَحْرُ فِي أَحْشَائِهِ الدُّرُّ كَامِنٌ فَهَلْ سَأَلُ الْغَوَّاصَ عَنْ صَدَفَاتِ. Arabic language is telling us, it is now being boastful, is being proud. أَنَا الْبَحْرُ, I am the river, I am the sea. Bahr is sea. I am the sea. أَنَا الْبَحْرُ فِي أَحْشَائِهِ, I am the sea in its depths. الدُّرُّ كَامِنٌ. Durru is pearl, kaminun, hidden. In its core, in the core of this sea, you find pearls, hidden pearls. Ana al-bahru fi ahsha'ihi durru kaminun. I am the sea in which you find hidden pearls. That is, I contain a lot of hidden pearls in my core. That is in my depth. If you should search this sea. And then it continues, the ending part of the bait. He says, فَهَلْ سَأَلُ الْغَوَّاصَ. Have they asked the Gawwas, that is the Ga'is, the one who dives. So Gawwas is the plural of, that is the divers. Have they asked the divers and Sadafati about my pearls? That can be a meaning, or about my depth. Because if you don't dive deep into the sea, you don't know that there are pearls, expensive pearls in its core or in its depth. So if you can see, it is Arabic language is telling us, why not ask those people who dive deep into this language? If there are no hidden pearls there, or there are no pearls or gems and jewels in my depth, ask those who go deep in the language. Get it? Leave these people who are on the surface, who are breaking things. Ask those people who are masters of it. That is what Arabic language is saying. فَهَلْ سَأَلُ الْغَوَّاصَ. Have they asked the divers? The divers here means professionals of the field. And sadafati, about my core, or my depth, or my pearls. Okay. And then it says, فَيَا وَيْحَكُمْ أَبْلَى وَتَبْلَى مَحَاسِنِي وَمِنْكُمْ وَإِنْ عَزَّ الدَّوَاءُ أَسَاتِي. Arabic language is now being like a mother who is sad about the situation going on. It says, فَيَا وَيْحَكُمْ. This is a way of crying out the situation, how bad the situation is, or woe to you. فَيَا وَيْحَكُمْ, or how dare you, or woe to you, or considering the situation, how sad it is. Abla wa tabla mahasini. Abla, I am going into extinction. I am going into extinction. Abla wa tabla mahasini. And my mahasin, that is my beauty. My beauty is also tabla, going into extinct. Let me say abla shay, that is the thing has gone into extinct, or it's gone to a far, far away place, out of reach. Abla وَتَبْلَى مَحَاسِنِي, I am going into extinct, and my beauty is also going into extinct. And he says, وَمِنْكُمْ, and among you, now we rearrange the bit, وَمِنْكُمْ أَسَاتِي وَإِنْ عَزَّ الدَّوَاءُ, and among you are those who will give me, وَإِنْ عَزَّ الدَّوَاءُ, even if the cure is difficult to come by. Among you, it is from your own self that you can help me survive. وَمِنْكُمْ وَإِنْ عَزَّ الدَّوَاءُ أَسَاتِي. Asati is the plural of asin. Asin. When we say asahu, ay a'tahu, he has given him. So among you are those who will give me, even if the drug, finding the drug is difficult. وَإِنْ عَزَّ الدَّوَاءُ, even if getting the drug is difficult. It says, فَيَا وَيْحَكُمْ أَبْلَى وَتَبْلَى مَحَاسِنِي وَمِنْكُمْ وَإِنْ عَزَّ الدَّوَاءُ أَسَاتِي فَلَا تَقِلُونِي. Now, I want to explain a point here. Asati here, even if you by mistake read it usati, that is one of the beauties of the language. Usati is the plural of asi, as against asin, who is the giver. Asi, that is the one who is a wrongdoer. So it says, وَمِنْكُمْ وَإِنْ عَزَّ الدَّوَاءُ usati. Even if we take it that way, we will say, and among you are those who wrong me. If finding the drug is difficult, you are the wrongdoers. That is a face of it. That is a face of it. Let's do that. It says, فَلَا تَقِلُونِي لِلزَّمَانِ فَإِنَّنِي أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ أَن تَحِينَ وَفَاتِي. فَلَا تَقِلُونِي, then do not leave me. لِلزَّمَانِ, for time. Do not leave me to time. That is, don't sacrifice me to time. I will just be fading with time. فَإِنَّنِي, for surely I, أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ, I fear for you, أَن تَحِينَ وَفَاتِي, that my death, the time for my death will come. That is, Arabic language is saying that I fear for you that if I should die now, you will lose your personality. Because an Arab, a person is known by his language. The language is an identity of a person. The person can't do without his language. So if you make this mistake and I fade out, I fear for you. So he says, فَلَا تَكِلُونِي لِلزَّمَانِ, do not leave my fate to time. فَإِنَّنِي, for surely I, أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ, I fear for you, أَن تَحِينَ وَفَاتِي, تَحِينَ, for it to be time, for time to be up, وَفَاتِي, my death, for my death, the time for my death to be up. I fear for you. Okay, it says again, أَرَى لِرِجَالِ الْغَرْبِ عِزًّا وَمَنْعَةً. I see, أَرَى لِرِجَالِ الْغَرْبِ, I see for the men of the West, that is the Westerners, I see for the Westerners, عِزَّةً وَمَنْعَةً, see for them some honor and some strength. عِزَّة, honor, وَمَنْعَةً. Manhattan also means the same as Izza and Kuwa. Okay, I see that the West have some honor and also some strength. And why is that? وَكَمْ عَزَّ أَقْوَامٌ بِعِزِّ لُغَاتِ. That is the bait. أَرَى لِرِجَالِ الْغَرِبِ عِزًّا وَمَنْعَةً وَكَمْ عَزَّ أَقْوَامٌ بِعِزِّ لُغَاتِ. It brings a wise saying here to complement this. I have seen that the Westerners are having some form of honor and strength. And how many a times do language of a people give them honor? وَكَمْ عَزَّ قَوْمٍ. Kem here is for ta'ajjub, not istifham. And how many a times have a people been given honor because of their language? Their language gives them honor. That is what Arabic language is telling us. He says again, أَتَوْا أَهْلَهُمْ بِالْمُعْجِزَاتِ تَفَنُّنًا فَيَا لَيْتَكُمْ تَأْتُونَ بِالْكَلِمَاتِ. He says, أَتَوْا أَهْلَهُمْ. This رِجَالُ الْغَيْبِ that it just talked about, it has already told us that أَرَى لِلْرِجَالِ الْغَرْبِ عِزًّا وَمَنْعَةً. So this رِجَالِ الْغَرْبِ, أَتَوْا, the next base says, أَتَوْا أَهْلَهُمْ بِالْمُعْجِزَاتِ تَفَنُّنًا. They've brought a lot of mu'jizat, that is miracles. They've done wonders for their people. They've done wonders for their people. Ataw ahlahum. They've come to their people with wonders, al-mu'jizat, tafannunan, in different fields, in different arts, different form of fields. They've done, we talk of poetry, talk of stage art, talk of literature, talk of all this stuff. They've done amazing. Arabic language is telling these people that, because see how these people have used their language to bring amazing stuff to their people. Faya laytakum, it's calling upon his people. Faya laytakum ta'tuna bil kalimati. How I wish you people will also come produce words. Ta'tuna bil kalimati. You also bring words. I have them, just tell them. And that is what Arabic language is saying. Faya laytakum ta'tuna bil kalimati. How I wish you will also bring words, that is, produce words. Arabic language is still making its claims. And it says, أَيُطْرِبُكُم مِّن جَانِبِ الْغَرِبِ نَاعِبٌ يُنَادِي بِوَعْدِي فِي رَبِيعِ حَيَاتِي. Does it sound cool to you? أَيُطْرِبُكُم, does it excite you? أَطْرَبَ, that is, to excite somebody. أَطْرَبَ, to excite somebody, to get somebody on. أَيُطْرِبُكُم, does it excite you? مِن جَانِبِ الْغَرِبِ نَاعِبٌ, from the side of the west. Na'ibun. Na'ibun is a riding animal. Here it is used to mean somebody riding on a fast animal. Somebody riding on a fast animal. Does it excite you to see somebody on a fast animal? Yunadi, calling, biwa'di, for me to be buried alive, calling for my burial. Fi rabi'i hayati. When we say rabi'i shay, that is the early ages of the thing, the fresh moment of the thing. That is why we say rabi' is the month of the season of rabi', that is the winter time. That is where everything blossoms and all flowers grow. So when we say rabi' hayati, that is the when I'm still in my fresh ages. Does it excite you to see that an announcer from the west calling for me to be buried alive whilst I'm still fresh, whilst I'm still young? Does that excite you? It's asking his people. And he says, Ara kulla yawmin bil jara'idi mazlaqan. I see every day, Arabic language, I see every day, bil jara'idi, plural of jarida. I see in the jara'id, that is the press, the papers, the newspapers. I see every day in it mazlaqan. When we say mazlaq, that is a sleepy place. A sleepy place. Like I kind of see a sleepy place or a hole, a pit hole. Every day I see myself. Let's continue the bait and the meaning becomes clear. Ara kulla yawmin bil jara'idi mazlaqan min al-qabri yudnini bi ghayri anati. Every day I see in the papers mazlaqan min al-qabri, a kind of slippery flowing into the grave. Mazlaqan min al-qabri, something, a slippery field that will slip me off into my grave. Or you just say mazlaqan min al-qabri, a pit hole from my grave. I see every day in the papers or in the newspapers a pit hole from my grave, or some form of slippery sliding me gradually into my grave. Yudnini min al-qabri yudnini, drawing me close to my grave. So mazlaqan here is a slippery floor. Every day in the papers, when the Arabic language picks the papers and it reads, it sees, it's like kind of people are gradually killing it. That is errors. The errors in the Arabic they use is too much for it. It's considered that as kind of slipping it off gradually. Yudnini min al-qabri, drawing me closer to the grave. Yudnini min al-qabri, drawing me closer to the grave. And it says, Begairi anati, without patience, without being calm, without being, it does that with so much inhumanness. It does it without a little bit of patience. Okay. He says, وَأَسْمَعُ لِلْكُتَّابِ فِي مِصْرَ ضَجَّةً. I hear dajja is cries or wailings or noise, shout. أرى كل يوم. It says وأسمع للكتاب. And when we say kutab, is this small places for studies. A small, it's not really like a madrasa, but a small place for studies that you see people gathered around and study. That is the kutab, or better still, the writers. The writers. أرى وأسمع للكتاب في مصر ضجة. And I hear some form of noise, some form of cries or wailings from the writers of Egypt, or from the study points in Egypt. فأعلم أن الصائحين نعاتي. فأعلم, and I know أن الصائحين, that those who are shouting, when you say صائح, أي من يصوح, من يصيح, the one shouting. فأعلم أن الصائحين نعاتي. When we say nu'at, plural of na'in. A na'in is a person, or an na'in, a person who brings the news of death, who comes to inform somebody that this is dead, somebody is dead. One who announces death. So when I hear these shouts and these wailings from the writers in Egypt, or from the study points in Egypt, أعلم أن الصائحين, I know that these people making this noise, nu'ati, they are giving news of my death. Arabic language is trying to tell us that when it sees what they write, it is kind of informing it that these people are killing me. They are announcing my death. Instead of saying the Arabic word for something, they will transliterate the English word for it. It means you are killing me. When television can be called Ar-Ra'i, and then you call television, you've transliterated. And also one of our teachers, Ustaz Ahmed Al-Mughawiri, if I get the name right, still one of my favorite teachers in Markaz al-Nil in Egypt, Cairo. He was telling us that at once there is this pipe under the zinc that is kind of curved like that. When it was produced, it is called siphon in the English field and the French side. So the Majma al-Lugha, the scholars of the Arabic language sat down to form a name for it. And instead of them to get a name, the long story short, this one brought ukhrutum, because the thing looks like the elephant's nose. This one brought thajjaja. In the Quran, وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً ثَجَّاجًا. Because water passes through with that energy, they named it, some brought the name thajjaja. Let's call it thajjaja. At the end of it, or they say, oh no, let's drop all this name and call it siphon. Let's just call it the same name, because Arabic can write it. We can write siphon, sin, ya, fa, wa, nun. So let's leave it like that. This is cool, but then it's also a way of announcing that your language can't give a word for that. So that is what the Arabic language is saying. وَأَسْمَعُ لِلْكُتَّابِ, and I hear from the kutab, from the writers and from the study points, fi Misra, in Egypt, ضجة, a kind of noise or cries. فَأَعْلَمُ أَنَّ الصَّائِحِينَ نُعَاتِ, and I know from these cries that these people are announcing my death. Okay. So he says again, so me seeing this, Arabic language, seeing this, then it says, أَيَهْجُرِنِي قَوْمِي عَفَى اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ إِلَى لُغَةٍ لَمْ تَتَّصِلُ بِرُوَاتِ. It's pathetic. أَيَهْجُرِنِي قَوْمِي, are my people leaving me? إِلَى لُغَةٍ, to a language. It says, أَيَهْجُرِنِي قَوْمِي, being that loving manner. It says, أَيَهْجُرِنِي قَوْمِي, are my people leaving me? عَفَى اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ, may God forgive them. Because what they are doing is a very grave sin. عَفَى اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ, may God pardon them, may God forgive them. إِلَى لُغَةٍ, they are leaving me to a language. لَمْ تَتَّصِلُ بِرُوَاتِ, it's not even close to my tail, it's not even close to my starting point, not to talk of my core. لَمْ تَتَّصِلُ بِرُوَاتِ, it's not even close to my tail, not to talk of coming close to me. أَيَهْجُرُنِي قَوْمِي عَفَى اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ إِلَى لُغَةٍ لَمْ تَتَّصِلُ بِرُوَاتِ. And it says, إِلَى مَعْشَرِ الْقُتَّابِ وَالْجَمْعُ هَافِلٌ. It's talking to the مَعْشَرِ الْقُتَّابِ, those people who the writers and the study points. مَعْشَرِ الْقُتَّابِ إِلَى مَعْشَرِ الْقُتَّابِ وَالْجَمْعُ هَافِلٌ. And the Majma al-Lugha, the scholars of Arabic language and all these groups. بَسَطْتُ رَجَائِي, I place before you, basattu, I put before you, raja'i, my wishes. بعد بسط شكاتي بعد بسط شكاتي, after I've made plain to you my complaints. بسطت رجائي بعد بسط شكاتي. And it says فإما حياة تبعث الميت في البلا. Al-Bila is a far place out of reach. The grave is a bila because it's kind of a different world. When we are in the land, and we talk about the desert, it's a different land on its own. It's far from reach. Al-Bila. فَإِمَّا, or a place of just woes, a place that there is no life. It's also Bila. It says فَإِمَّا, it's now telling them, because I say إِلَى مَعْشَرِ الْكُتَّابِ وَالْجَمْعُ حَافِلٌ, it has called them. بَسَطْتُ رَجَائِي, I've made clear to you my wishes. بَعْدَ بَسْطِ شَكَاتِي, after putting to you my complaints. You, what you are supposed to do. فَإِمَّا حَيَاتٌ, it is either a life تَبْعَثُ الْمَيْتَ فِي الْبِلَى, a life that will revive the dead from the grave. It is either you people will give me a life that will revive me from my grave. وَتُنْبِتُ فِي تِلْكَ الرُّمُوسِ رُفَاتِ. A rumus is also the grave. And it will germinate. This life here, hayat here that it talks about, is kind of a renaissance activity. You guys, the thing is going down. Now get up and see to it that I'm up. Get up and see to it that I'm up, else I'm dying. And it says, فَإِمَّا حَيَاتٌ تَبْعَثُ الْمَيْتَ فِي الْبِلَى. It is either you give me a life that will raise the dead from the grave. وَتُنْبِتُ فِي تِلْكَ الرُّمُوسِ رُفَاتِ. And it will revive or germinate my remains. Rufat is the remains of the dead. Rufati, my remains. It will tumbitu rufati. It will germinate or revive my remains. Fi tilka rumusi, in those graves. So you should put up an activity to revive me from wherever I am, that I'm not handy, or I'm not in reach. You people should bring me to plain. وَإِمَّا مَمَاتٌ لَا قِيَامَةَ بَعْدَهُ. Else I'm going to die a kind of death that I'm not going to rise again. وَإِمَّا مَمَاتٌ لَا قِيَامَةَ بَعْدَهُ. I'm going to die a kind of death that I will not rise again. Mamatun, a kind of death. لَعَمْرِي لَمْ يُقَصْ بِمَمَاتِ. It is showing how grave the death of Arabic language is. And it's true. When you lose the language, it is with the language that we study. It is with language that we discover. Science uses language, math uses language, every field uses language. If your language dies, you lose it. You can hardly have your identity intact. So that is what the Arabic language is telling them. If it is either you put up a movement, a renaissance movement to revive me, to bring me to plain, or I'm going to die a kind of death, and if I don't survive, if I don't revive, if I don't come back again, this death, you can't compare it to any other death. وَإِمَّا مَمَاتٌ لَا قِيَامَةَ بَعْدَهُ مَمَاتٌ لَعَمْرِي. I swear, لَمْ يُقَصْ بِمَمَاتِ. No death like my death. Okay, now this is what HAFIZ Ibrahim says about Arabic language, and I wish that on the World Arabic Language Day I bring this to you and we all discuss it and understand it. Okay, as you learn Arabic language, you should know this poem and you should have that zeal of learning Arabic language in you. Let me recite this in a short time. The whole poem says, رجعت لنفسي فاتهمت حصاتي وناديت قومي فاحتسبت حياتي رموني بعقم في الشباب وليتني عقمت فلم أجز لقول عداتي ولدت ولما لم أجد لعرائسي رجالا وأكفاء وعدت بناتي وسعت كتاب الله لفظا وغاية وما ضقت عن آي به وعزاتي فكيف أضيق اليوم عن وصف آلة وتنسيك أسماء لمخترعاتي أنا البحر في أحشائه الدر كامن فهل سأل الغواص عن صدفاتي فيا ويحكم أبلى وتبلى محاسني ومنكم وإن عز الدواء أساتي فلا تقلوني للزمان فإنني أخاف عليكم أن تحين وفاتي أرى لرجال الغرب عزا ومنعة وكم عز أقوام بعز لغاتي أتوا أهلهم بالمعجزات تفننا فيا ليتكم تأتون بالكلمات أيطربكم من جانب الغرب ناعب ينادي بوعدي في ربيع حياتي أرى كل يوم بالجرائد مزلقا من القبر يدنيني بغير أناتي وأسمع للكتاب في مصر دجة فعالم أن الصائحين نعاتي أيهجرني قومي عفى الله عنهم إلى لغة لم تتصل برواتي إلى معشر الكتاب والجمع حافل بسطت رجائي بعد بسط شكاتي فإما حياة تبعث الميت في البلا وتنبت في تلك الرموس رفاتي وإما ممات لا قيامة بعده ممات لعمري لم يقس بمماتي. I hope we all had an interesting time going through this point, and HAFIZ IBRAHIM has done great for the Arabic language. We all hope to learn Arabic language to such a professional level. Okay, may God make it easy for us. It was a happy time being with you once again. Share it for the benefit of all, and if you've not subscribed yet, do well to subscribe. Thank you for being with us once again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bye bye. Have a nice day.